Hello friends, welcome to a new tutorial, and this tutorial is again gonna be some little bit about numpy, and if we'll be having a time, then we will move on to some other part of numpy. Mostly we'll be covering matrix again. So last time we talked about how we can create a matrix out of uh, some list. So this is how actually we created a matrix. We have our numpy and we used mat function. Then inside that we passed a string kind of thing in which the rows are separated by semicolon. So this is a perfect way of creating the matrix. We then actually use a little bit of arithmetic operations. Then try to find out the determinant. Then we did dot product. We can do transpose and a lot more stuff. So whatever the stuff what we can do in our linear algebra, the mathematical part, we can do that part using uh, this numpy library. Although if you talk about the calculus part, that calculus part is a little bit tricky. If we want to solve it using Python, R, or some other programming language. So for that part, we use some different kind of tool, and you are, I think, aware with the tool like MATLAB, Scilab, and Octave. Those tools are highly optimized and well structured and well prepared for doing that specialized kind of calculation. So apart from that, if you talk about the mathematical part of the matrices, the Python and R and Julia, these programming languages are quite efficient in doing that part. If you talk about that part, okay. So now what we will be doing is we would be creating again matrix. Okay, uh, again we are doing the matrix thing, but yeah, if let's talk about, if we talk about the image processing part, or if we talk about the signals or whatever, these kind of things are easy to handle, or are more efficient to be processed when these things are considered to be matrix. So that the matrix part, especially the linear algebra part, vectorized part, are quite important. So we have to cover a lot of stuff in that. Okay, so there are other ways also by which we can create matrix, and one of those ways is like my mat1 equals to then np dot, um, I guess I'm right. Okay, so inside it what we can do is we can pass a list, simple. Okay, so in list, these are my values. If I run it, if I try to print it, we'll get this. Okay, and uh, if we want to find the type of this thing, then we'll get is this is nd array. So what is matrix? Matrix more specifically, if we say matrix is just a simple array, but it's into multiple dimension. Means this is nd array, although but its dimension is a single, you can say. But when we talk about matrix is not single dimensional, it is a two-dimensional thing. So the people who are having the good background in C programming, so when we create matrix, then again we are tackling, or we are handling things in arrays, which is a linear data structure, but ultimately we are storing it in such a way that it is appear to be a two-dimensional thing. So here also matrix is just a simple normal numpy array, but it is in more than one dimension. So then it's in two dimensions, so we can call it to be a matrix. Or actually it is not, it's not about just calling, it is actually a matrix. Okay, so this is another way of creating a matrix. So let's create a matrix, my mat2, then np dot array, and inside it we have to pass a list. And I have already told you list is a data structure in Python which can have any other kind of data structure, whether it is singular or it could be a complex data structure. So as an element we can have tuples as a part of our list. So let's create a single element which is tuple. Now again we are creating another tuple, then again we are creating another tuple. So what we can see here is, like, in here, np.array, this is our single element of a list, another element of a list, another element of a list, another element of a list. Here we are having again a list, but instead of a singular element we have a tuple which itself have three elements. Then we have another tuple which itself have three elements. Then we have another tuple which again have three elements. Okay, so it's same thing, but instead of passing a singular elements we have passed tuples. Okay, then we'll run it. Now if we want to print it, this is again a matrix, so this is also a matrix. Okay, so it's just a tricky way of creating a matrix, although it's a genuine way, 100% genuine way. Above there we are creating matrix. This is matrix, its data structure is matrix, but again I told you matrix is just normal linear data structure but in multi-dimension. Here also what we did is, this is numpy array, but numpy array in multi-dimension, so it's also a matrix. So let's see if we'll be able to run our different functions here. So my mate.t, let's see if we can find the transpose. Yes, we can actually find the transpose. So again it's clarify that this is not some other kind of data structure, it is also a matrix because this dot t function is working in it. Okay, so this is how we create matrix again using different manner. Okay, so you can try out the different mathematical operation which I told you earlier in the last class, so you can perform that part. Consider it to be your homework, and I am expecting you people to actually complete that part. So I just told you how to create a matrix but in a different manner. Okay, so there are other ways also by which we can create some special kind of matrix when it is required. Okay, so there are matrix which kind of we want to create, like this np dot zeros, and then inside it we have to pass the dimension. Okay, so this outer bracket is the bracket of a function, but inside it we have to pass a tuple which will be having a dimension of how the matrix gonna be. So I passed 4 comma 3, means I told here that I want 4 rows and 3 columns of the matrix which is going to be created, and zeros function, it's a function which will create the matrix where we'll have the all the zeros in our rows as well as columns. So when we'll run it, we'll get this kind of matrix. Okay, so there are other ways of creating different matrices, these specialized matrices which I told you here. I can pass 4. This is an error. I think it will take one more parameter. Again, it's a numpy has no attribute eyes. Again, let's see if we have this function or not. No, we do not have this function, but I have seen this function somewhere else to be working. And other, let's just do it one more time. Yeah, it's working here. So this function is has created an identity matrix. So we require identity matrix a lot many times for in our calculations to find the inverse if you want to do it the hard way. So these are some specialized function which we can use to create a specific kind of matrix which is required in our calculations. Okay, so this was the matrix part in our using our numpy. And moving on, we have sometimes actually we need to create uh, a sequence of data. Okay, so all the time we cannot create our series of data. Let's say my data and np dot array. If I want this kind of data, like 1 comma 3 comma 5 comma 7 comma 9 comma 11 comma like 13 and 15 then 17. So you understood that I want to create this kind of data. Okay, and it's just a small data here, but there are times when we require a long data then what we gonna do? Means are we gonna like type these things with our keyboards? But I think that would be less efficient. And let's talk about if you want to have a data which will have the length of like 1 lakh records, and these records are actually following certain kind of pattern. So considering those things, we cannot actually type the 1 lakh records in here. So we have to have some different kind of function which will do the task for us. So to do that task, we have uh, as function. First, let's print it. We have a function which is called as uh, uh, I think that's called as arange function. In let's just figure out np len uh, yeah, we have arange function, and that function will take the initial value, the final value is like 100, and the third value we will take it like the step with which the value each value the each occurring value will be incremented. Okay, so we have this data what we want to create, and considering the requirement which I just told you earlier, that if sometime we will have to create the 1 lakh records of a series in which it's following certain pattern, the pattern like the each value have the difference of 2, so we cannot type 1 lakh records. So for doing the same thing, we have a special function called as arange. Okay, so in that, the first thing is your starting point, the last thing is your ending point, and the third parameter is the step function, is the step value with which the each value will get incremented. So if we'll run it, we'll have my underscore data 2, and yeah, so we can see that the element all we have generated a series that is again a numpy array. Just we have to find out what's the data type, and okay, see yeah, this is an nd array just like we created here, but but by hard way. Okay, so this is another way of creating series, and where we have some certain kind of a pattern in our series. So you can also call it to be an ap, arithmetic progression. So these are the some different functionalities with the numpy, and numpy is quite a powerful library, and there is no data analytics. If you talk about the Python programming, or I must say the machine learning or the data analytics using Python, there is no person in this world, I think, who is doing these kind of stuff without numpy and the other libraries which I'm gonna tell you. Okay, so these are important things, and keep I want you people to work on these things. Whatever the homework I have provided you, work on that. And if I have told you something, just do not stop there. Keep exploring and keep working in that area, and there are a lot more to achieve, because I'm just a guide who is telling you, or who is actually guiding you that these are the important things. But apart from that, as soon as my tutorial is finished, it is your duty to figure out what's more in this thing. Okay, so I'm just merely a guide. Okay, so apart from that, again, yeah, for today it's done. We have completed our tutorial. Apart from that, what is the important thing I want to tell you is that we are all science people, or more specifically I must say we are rational people. So remember, in life, please, whenever you've been provided with some kind of statement or any kind of thing, just do not believe on that thing blindly. Okay, there are three important things which you people have to actually consider. One is what, second is how, and third is why. If that statement, or if whatever the incident, or I must say whatever the entity is right there in front of you, just try to know these three things about it, and after that, if you feel satisfied, then only believe it, because this is the how science works. So even I am here telling you this is data analytics, but do not believe on me. I am teaching you, or I am training you, or I am telling you this is how it is done, why it is done, and what it is. Then only you have to believe it. So this is a theory which you must actually keep in your pocket, and consider most of the things when we talk about the life with this according to this formula. Okay, then only will be a better civilization or a better citizens of our country to try to be more rational in 90% of the cases, because there are definitely some things where rationality do not work. Okay, but in 90% of the cases, try to be rational, because we the people are people, or I must say citizens of science, and science is everything. So meet you next time, keep working, and I hope you will do all the work which I have given you as a homework. And again, keep spreading my channel, keep spreading my knowledge to people who are willing to learn, and who even have a single ounce of will to learn. Just tell them, teach them. Okay, so see you next time. Bye bye.